little Palo Santo to get us cleared out. Something in my eyeball. Okay. Wowie. I feel like I'm just going to say it every week. So much intense energy. But the good news is Pluto's going direct starting on October 13th after being retrograde since May. And even though Pluto moves really slow and it won't necessarily feel like this, Pluto never feels like this big like jolt of energy shifting. Like how Mercury retrogrades are, all of a sudden, you know, things get more confusing and communication stuff starts happening and transportation stuff. Like it's very noticeable. Pluto retrograde is silently working and doing like a very deep dive into unconscious places and things that have been buried. And so it feels more like a soul journey that you take versus it being like right out there. That's very obvious. So, but with seeing that, since May, we've been going through this really intense soul searching process with Pluto being retrograde. And Pluto's been making really intense aspects, especially within the last week, with Mars. Mars did enter Scorpio and have a aspect to Pluto, but this past week was Mercury also went into Scorpio and did a square with Pluto. And, it's just really like, it's hard to unglue your attention on everything that is occurring. And I'm really kind of seeing that there is this like need to be, to find joy, to find like, what are the things that you actually love and feel happy doing? The heaviness of everything that's happening right now is making us forget how to have joy in our lives. And I think that that's part of the system operating at this time, is that you kind of strip away people's humanity. Like you strip away their feelings of hope and safety and leave them feeling like, you know, survival mode basically. And so, you know, finding joy right now feels really hard. Honestly, it feels hard to do. I just focus as much as I can on my dog because she brings me a lot of joy, and she reminds me to keep staying in the moment. I think that's what's so great about animals. And right now, if you can be close to any animals, it can really, really help anchor you back into a place of, you know, that space that they occupy, where they're just like always existing in this moment to moment basis. They feel the joy and you can see them feeling joy, and that can help you get into that part of your body that is being really pushed to its furthest limits right now and really struggling to, you know, see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I do think about too, like all the times in my life where I feel like I haven't been able to see the light at the end of the tunnel and how dark it's gotten. And it's always ended up, you know, shifting and changing into something else. And so I keep telling myself that this process will also shift, that the whole collective is going through right now. A couple of things I was thinking about that I wanted to share was about sleep, because I think people are really, really struggling with sleep more than ever. And as an energetic, like a person who reads energy and feels energy so intensely, and I'm sure that the people who are watching this have some degree of also being super tuned into energy and very sensitive people, and to know that is one thing, but then to actively have practices in place where you start moving the energy. So some things that help, I'll get to the sleep portion of it, but one thing I've especially noticed within the last several months, but especially within this last month, is that every night before you go to bed, rinse off in the shower. Like, even if you've taken a shower in the morning, rinse off in the shower. You don't have to wash your hair, do anything like that. I mean, hair collects a lot of energy as well. So if you're feeling extra intense or like just bogged down, washing your hair can also really make a huge difference. But at the very least, take a rinse off shower and get in the shower and think about like all the energy that you've collected from the day being completely rinsed off and put down into the drain, so that you can remove whatever has been collected energetically and go to bed with that cleared off of you. And a lot of people go to bed with that all still on them without really understanding it. And that can actually disrupt sleep. That can actually like cause this feeling of like you can't find the clearing of consciousness because you have so much kind of like gunk on you. So I guess that does tie into sleep. So that's one thing I really recommend doing, is just having an intentional rinse off. It literally can be 2 minutes, but that it is very purifying. Water is very purifying. And with saying that about water, something I really like doing is taking a glass of water to my bedside every night, not for drinking, but I fill up the glass of water and I ask the glass of water to absorb throughout the night any negative energies and have that intention in place for the water to be sort of like the catch-all of anything that's kind of coming into the field. I especially do this when I'm staying at another place, even if that person, or that place has, good energy. It's still someone else's energy field. And we all have our own sort of like strings and stuff attached to our energy fields. And so putting that glass of water next to your bed can help put in all of those and absorb and purify the energy that's kind of going around the room while you're asleep. And then take that glass of water every morning and dump it and wash the glass out, refill it, and do the same thing the next morning or whatever point in the day. Just like make sure you have it there before you go to bed. Don't drink it. It's not for drinking. It's just for this specific thing. And then the other thing I wanted to say that's really helped me, I saw it on Reddit the other day. Well, I say the other day, it was more like last month. So I've been using it like for a month, and I can say that it really, really helps. Is that when you wake up in the middle of the night, or even if you're struggling to go to bed, there's this thing that someone mentioned that they always do that's really helped me too, is you go through the alphabet. And you pick, starting at A, you pick a word, okay? Let's say Antarctica. And so you go Antarctica, like think of it as like all of the different letters. And you start A, and from A, you pick 3 words that begin with A. So Antarctica, so start with A, and then you can say like apple, ant, and let's say and, because I couldn't think of one on the spot. Okay. 3 words that start with A. Then go to N. 3 words that start with N. Nectarine, news, nod. So like, see, even with me now being awake, trying to think of words, it starts making your brain have to really focus on something that's not your anxious thoughts. And you just go down that word, like letter for letter, A, N, T, 3 words for that start with T, and finish that word. Then you go down the alphabet to B. So let's say boring. Hopefully this video isn't. Oh boy. B. So pick 3 words that start with B. I think you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. But that is like a form of just forcing your mind to stop spinning all of the worst case scenario, scary things that are so much easier to come up at night when like we have nothing else going on to distract us. And I just wanted to share that because these are things that I'm finding really helpful for me right now. And it's more doable than like, I don't know, back in the day, when I say back in the day, I mean like maybe before 2020, all practices felt more accessible. Like, let's meditate, let's do yoga. You know, we had more bandwidth to kind of access those parts of us that are like, yeah, let's sit in our discomfort. Let's, you know, do breathing exercises and stuff. And I recommend those always. But what I'm seeing and what my own experience is that the amount of intense life and world events that have happened within such a short period of time, it hijacks that part of you that wants to self improve, like, or to have even the energy to kind of put into those practices. And so with saying like those other 3, like an easy couple of minutes to rinse off, if you can't do that, just grab a glass of water and ask the glass of water to help you collect negative energy. You know, even just having that intention, because it's so true that thoughts are powerful, and there has been so much study done around how powerful our thoughts are. So even just believing that that glass of water is helping purify, you know, the room that you're in can feel somewhat comforting and may even be bring you more peaceful energy in your own body. And then, you know, yeah, doing that, like picking the word, thinking of 3 things, just stuff that is right now more accessible than taking on these practices that, you know, right now might not seem as approachable. I hope that makes sense. But yes, that I wanted to touch on. And the other thing I wanted to touch on is that right now, Mercury just went into Scorpio, and I wanted to say that I don't know if you've ever gone through a relationship with a narcissistic personality, but right now the energies at play have these very intense kind of like gaslighting feelings of this is what reality is when you know that that's not what's happening. That's how a lot of narcissistic people tend to control the people that they're with or the environments, you know, around them, is by forcing you to believe this reality that isn't your reality, and it makes you start questioning your own capacity to see things correctly. And so you stop trusting yourself and you only start trusting what they're telling you. And that is very intense with Mercury and Scorpio right now. It's like when you hear that people are saying gossip about you, saying things that aren't true, but everybody's believing it. And you're like, I can't believe that that person, not only that person would say that about me, but that all these people would believe that that's true without even knowing, without even having relationship to that person, you know. So there's a very strong sort of like intense gossip energy happening in order to shift perspective and to keep this narrative going in a collective way. And so what I will say is that when you see things on social media, don't believe it right away. It was like when I was growing up, it was always like, you know, the TV is brainwashing everybody. And so whatever the news says, you know, isn't always accurate. And I remember I had my previous partner was a firefighter, and they would say that they would go into scenarios, right, with like they had to rescue people or whatever kind of situation was going on, and they were there, they were present, they saw everything that happened in that situation. And then later, the news would cover it. And the way that the news embellishes and distorts the facts and makes everything seem worse or louder or whatever, you know, kind of like baits people. Like even on YouTube, you can't even like have a sincere YouTube title anymore because everybody just clicks on that like urgent panic fear title or, you know, that kind of thing, which I'm trying to be very conscious of in my videos and what I'm putting out, what kind of energy I'm putting out, because it can be easy to want to grow your channel and know that like growing your channel might mean you have to play the game of YouTube, but that's like, I'm going off on a tangent right now. That's why I'm kind of trying to shift away from cutting everything up and editing it and being more performative, because I want it to come through real and true and not be so disconnected like from reality. And so I know that was a bit of a tangent, but it does sort of tie in just to the fact that like, yeah, I mean, I see videos on social media where like, you know, they just take like one moment of something that's going on, or they're taking moments from past things that have happened that aren't current, but they put it up there and make people see it as current. And, you know, without like knowing whether or not that's real, I mean, it's just like AI. We look at an image and we don't know if it's AI anymore, and it's only going to get more intense. So what I'm trying to like emphasize is that, especially with Mercury and Scorpio right now, but just as a whole, to always look at what you're watching on. Hopefully you don't really watch the news even that much. I remember when I was young, I was like, I'm not watching the news anymore because it just made me feel terrible. Like I stay updated, but to sit there and just be kind of like programmed with whatever, you know, version of reality is being shared with me in a way that like they want me to see it as, just felt wrong from a very young age for me. So hopefully you're minimizing just watching the news in general, but I know we're all on social media looking at it over and over and over, and it's all now just like, it's not even the people you follow anymore. It's just reels of people of like chaotic things kind of like coming through. You know, it can be that anyway, because not every algorithm is the same. Maybe I'm just like, maybe it's just my algorithm. Although I try to work on that. Not having it show me all that kind of stuff. But anyways, just, yeah, saying that like, just really, really, really use your discernment, like, and know what's true for you. Know that the most important thing you can do right now is to know what's true for you and not what somebody's telling you is true. That has been such a huge lesson for me in my life, and why I think right now, while I'm watching everyone just get swept away into these like stories that are being spun that are not based in reality, and then getting upset and attacking people who are not the people to be attacking. Like, it's just such a it's such a very loud energy happening with that right now. And so, okay, that's Mercury and Scorpio. I don't think I'm going to talk about any more astrology for right now, other than, yeah, Pluto's going direct and has been since May. And, I don't know about you guys, but since May has been some really intense life stuff for me. And I'm pulling a card right now, this one. Okay, what are we feeling? Oh, wonderful. Healing. And let's go ahead and do Nature's Whisper. Lots of... Oh, and also, you know, I always use, like how I'm starting these videos now with Palo Santo. That can really shift around energy in the room as well. But make sure you have a window open to help the energy move out. Otherwise, it's just kind of like suffocating, and you don't want that. What you're wanting to do is cleanse the energy, move the energy out. You are worth it. 23. Yeah, I was seeing on like another astrologer's page where she's like kind of going through the same thing I'm going through, with feeling like I don't want to perform. Like I don't want to perform, even though I feel like, oh well, that's how you grow, that's how you make it in YouTube and stuff like that. But it's like, you are an energy. You know, all of us have a certain energy, and that's what brings people in. And so you just be yourself, and you share whatever is yourself to share, because nobody else can share what you're sharing in the way that you're sharing it. So modeling what you're doing after what other people are doing is just kind of using a version of them to portray a version of you. And I definitely feel like the right people always do connect to you. And it might take a lot longer to get the crowd that's not really like chasing dopamine, but are actually wanting to sit through and have a video be more authentic and relaxed. But that's more of the type of people that I want to attract anyway. Those are the types of people that align with me. And so that's why I've decided to shift away from being like super edited. And yeah, I just wanted to say that too. And maybe you're feeling like that in some degree, because when she said that, I was like, that's exactly how I'm feeling right now, is that I don't want to keep trying to force something that doesn't feel like me, because then I'm just going to lose the passion and excitement for it. And the whole point is because I want to do this because I'm enjoying it, and because I want to share real me with you guys. Okay. You are worth it. Oh, I don't need to back in, so I'm still getting used to this. The only way you can accept, respect, and cherish others is by accepting, respecting, and cherishing you. Accept praise and credit when it is given to you. When you learn to be accepting, you allow your true potential to blossom. You claim your worth and reflect that light to others. When you see yourself in this light, other people cannot help but respond to your personal sense of value. As you strive toward more self-love each day, you will find yourself infused with new energy. It is okay to walk away from relationships that minimize or hurt you. Enjoy and love who you are. Wow. I do have goosebumps. It's so easy for me to get goosebumps. I've actually heard that that's a thing for a lot of people who are on the spectrum, or highly sensitive people, and not everybody has that, where you get goosebumps when you hear certain music, or like for me, I just read something or somebody says something to me and it's just like immediately I get goosebumps. I didn't realize that like not everybody had that. So that's a fun fact. Okay. And then I will share this quote and close off this energy reading. I look around and see so much fear, people getting more and more comfortable with their hate, more at ease being mean, more united in their separation. And I think, no, not me. I will not get lost in this fearful world. I will not play with bullies. I will continue to be brave and kind. I will speak for real unity. And no matter what, I will never stop loving. From Scott Stabile. I'll have that in my description box as well. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy with me today. And I'll be back soon for another energy reading, likely next week on Thursday, which is what I try to aim for. All right.